Welcome, everyone, to Teach Me PCB. I'm the creator of Teach Me PCB, Mark, and I'm here with the co-facilitator of this year's course, Jesse Robinson, and a former student of mine, Josh Blanton, along with whoever else wants to join us tonight. So if you're out there on YouTube, down in the description, you'll see a link to StreamYard that you can use to join us on screen. Just make sure you shut down YouTube once you're here. And if not, hang out on YouTube and send us comments from there. Either way, we're here to answer questions or do anything else you guys might like. So with that, welcome, Jesse. Welcome, Josh.
Hello.
Hello.
How are your weeks going so far?
Okay. Busy. And it's only Monday.
And
That
Josh,
sounds about right. Very busy.
Josh, you want to tell everybody how we know each other?
You were my high school physics teacher. And I, shortly after meeting you, became your TA during your prep period. So we had lots of fun time to play around and work on other projects.
Yeah. Josh got you were probably 16 or 17. You got an Xserve out of the box, got it up and running. Pretty sure you installed Moodle.
We did. We were using Moodle. I was just thinking about that yesterday, looking at the Teach Me PCB website. That's a software package that's been around for 20 years now, at the very minimum.
But yeah, no, we had a lot of fun. Learned quite a bit about networking programming, kept some computers running. Just caused trouble mostly. I don't even remember all we did, but I remember on my prep period, it was like a half a dozen people we were teaching programming to, wasn't it?
Yeah. We were playing around with PHP. I still have a couple of the books that you had me pick up at that time. PHP 3 was the current version.
We've advanced a little since then.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the bee's knees, dynamic content and all that sort of fun stuff. And we got you excited about learning some programming and some projects, right? You're doing air quality sensor, I think it is.
I did. I picked up the Pimoroni Enviro Plus sensor. Haven't made too much progress yet. I just have been trying to find the time to play with it. So I have it connected to the Raspberry Pi. I got a new Raspberry Pi image on a micro SD, got it booted, got it set up where I wanted it on my network with DNS because I'm that kind of nerd. And I've just been going over the documentation and looking at their Python library. So I'm hoping to play with it more soon.
Very cool. And about there's a trick with the Raspberry Pi imager for headless installation. It's like
I don't know. So I used another imager. I use Rufus typically. And what I did is, and I think this is still current, it seemed to work, but you can put a file in the boot directory that just says SSH, and it will cause it to enable SSH out of the box. Is that what you're referring to?
Well, it's a little better than that now. That's how I used to do it too. But now they have, and I forget the keyboard shortcut, but something like Control-Shift-X, like with Windows. But I'm sure if we Google it, we can find it in a hurry. But yeah, you can. It gives you a GUI. You put in your SSID, your password, anything you want to do. If you want to enable VNC, SSH, any of that good stuff.
Okay, so a little more in depth. That's kind of cool. I'll have to look at that.
Yeah, it just GUIs it for you. I mean, but you're fine with the command line, so you don't need that. But anyways, hey Elliot, how are you?
Hey guys, doing good.
Good, man. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight. Do you have anything to show off? You usually have something to show off.
I can show you a clock I just made if you really want to, or we can look at that later.
I really want to, Elliot. I really, really want to.
Okay, you asked for it. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I lied. The camera that was working a minute ago. It's working.
There it is.
Okay, let's try this. So here's a clock. It does exactly what it says on the thing. Let me change something real fast. And I can make it do something.
I might have to zoom in. Ooh, fancy.
So here you go. This is like traveling through time really fast. Yeah, so this is something I've made in the past, but I just assembled a new one, and what I did is ported the whole thing over to the Pico because that seemed like fun.
Mhm.
But you can see there's some circuit board stuff going on. I made a little so let's just take it apart. I'll show you what it is. So this is if you can get the idea, a little sandwich.
Mhm.
This Pico's in a socket. They're not all going to be. I'm going to see. Actually, I can show you. But that's just a little board, breakout board for a Pico. You can surface mount to, which makes it just tall enough to plug the USB in. When it's sandwiched on the back of this board, upside down. But I also have the same or similar code running on the Arduino Nano, so this way I can just put whatever I have on the back of this thing. And this is just an array of NeoPixels, but it also is exactly the same spacing as a NeoPixel strip. So if you don't feel like soldering all those things or having it assembled, cut 11 of those, slap them on, solder the ends down, and you basically get yourself a nice little array of LEDs. And then, let's see, we've got a gasket. It's got foam. You can kind of see on this side, it's a laser cut foam, which will sandwich down on top of the LEDs. So they're not flat and there's capacitors and solder joints all over. That'll get it basically light tight so it doesn't shine between one and the other. And then this is laser cut piece of wood, some oak on the outside, and then it's actually filled with epoxy resin. So it has kind of a cool like glass-ish looking front.
Mhm.
And let's see, the only other features it has, there's a photoresistor in it, so it dims with the room.
Go, Elliot. Are
So,
you
yeah.
going to sell these, or you've got a lot of clocks now?
I am. I've sold a few in the past, but I think I'm going to sell some more because they're fun to make. I just was in the shop today machining up some more components and then get some more boards. This was kind of a tester, and I made a bunch of mistakes. Not a bunch, a few mistakes, which were pretty fun to figure out. So this is kind of bodged together. Every single one of my tactile switches, the pin numbers were wrong, so I attached both leads to the same side of them. Didn't realize that, so those are kind of like clipped off and turned on sideways.
Whoops.
This real-time clock, same thing. I mirrored all the pins here, so VCC and ground were going to the clock and data pin. Wasn't great. And I misaligned the footprint for these two pins with the board below it by one pin. So got a few revisions to do here. Mislabeled a couple things, but good news is it only took a week to get them and they're super cheap. I'm still shocked at how cheap everything is from China. And we're
Yeah.
just gonna keep doing it till we get it right.
Nice, man. Very cool. Well, I'm not saying anything about misaligning pins. I'll let Jesse, shame me on that one because I've never made that mistake. No.
Oh yeah, and this whole thing is actually held together. There's a couple grooves in the outside, so just kind of squishes down, and then these wedge in there. So no fasteners. And this one I can take apart. So yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Wow, Elliot, that is cool. You've come
Yeah,
so
that's a really
far.
cool project.
if you guys want one, I'll send you all the files.
That is cool, man. No, you've. I was just, I'm always amazed. You've come so far in, the short period of time that you've been with us.
Well, I think I said when we started, the best part about the course was having access to experts and people that are kind of interested in what we're doing. That's been super awesome for me.
Well, you've certainly taken advantage of it. So I one of the complaints, and I said this at the beginning of the course, and it's something we have to continually work on, is the more invested people are, the better they're going to do. And keeping people engaged on the journey is going to be the tricky part. So, and this is the Rev 3 or Variation 3.
This thing, in case we haven't seen it up close. Yeah, so it works.
Woo!
I don't know what to do with it, but definitely works. Yeah.
Well, hey, man, that is cool. You said you don't know what to do with it, but
well, I mean, I could use it, but it's practically the same as having a keyboard. So
right, but that's not why we made these, right? Because the comment that I made multiple times, I don't think ever to you, is here we go. Here it is. You can go out and buy an absolutely superior macro pad, right? Stream Deck macro pad. You can go buy one right now that is going to be better than anything any of us could ever design and build. That's not the point. The point's to learn how to make a PCB, and this is the tool to get there. So.
Right on. Well, yeah, now I got one.
Yeah, now this is like 3 or 4. I don't know what you're on anymore. We had the round one that was cool. We've got this one that's cool.
Yeah. I've got a fill of these for the next near future. I don't think I'll be needing any more.
Have you seen the corded keyboards?
Yes, I have.
So one of them, and I don't know why none of us thought of this, but the one that I shared last week, some guy had made one using joysticks. So each finger, instead of getting a tactile switch, they get a 4 or 5 position joystick. That really increases the opportunities.
I'd need a lot of enthusiasm if I was going to do that. Fun to make, but learning to use, I'm not sure.
So allegedly, if the thing's to be believed, the guy spent like a year teaching himself how to type on his little thing, and he was getting something ridiculous, like 500 words per minute.
Yeah, I don't doubt it, but you got to be invested.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I have anything worth saying. Like, when I type and I do technical content, I want at least 1,000 words a day. I don't think I could think of them, and my job would be done in 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's your bottleneck. My fear is like being so happy with that, but then grabbing a laptop and it doesn't have one, going to every other device in the world, and it's like, ugh. It would just make everything disappointing.
Yeah, definitely.
I had an uncle that learned the Dvorak keyboard layout and was trying to talk me into it back in high school, and that was one of the biggest things, is he's effectively shut himself out of everyone else's computer. It sort of overrides QWERTY in your head, and that's what makes sense to you at that point, is that Dvorak layout.
I tried that a little, and it was quite entertaining. But yeah, it does kind of. It's like going Apple or iPhone or Android, or maybe it's not that subtle, but it's definitely something.
But as I recall, it's a marginal improvement. It's
compared to the numbers you just cited. Yeah, I think he jumped from 60 to maybe 90 words per minute, somewhere in that neighborhood, 90 to 100.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not necessarily orders of magnitude.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe the 500 words per minute. That's one of those things where I'd really have to see it.
True. I think
Stenog-
it was when you posted that corded keyboard the other day. Someone posted a talk about stenography, and so yeah, they were citing numbers like 240.
Yeah, that sounds. I was gonna say like a court a stenographer. But that's again probably really well suited for like a set number of phrases and words that you can understand. But if you're typing code
Yeah.
and it's
for
something
me.
that's never been written before, like there's going to be no key combination that makes it come out, right?
Yeah. No, I can definitely type faster than I can think. You know.
Mhm.
But yeah, you know, when you start looking at code, you know, I could be one fingering it for, you know, as fast as I'm thinking, you know.
Get you that binary keyboard.
Oh, we should have made one of those. Just a little 2 key, just ones and zeros. Oh, why didn't we do that? I think we need to. Somebody needs to.
I've
Elliot?
seen that as a joke before.
Do Morse code.
No, you just type. You know, just writing code in ones and zeros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What more could you need?
Well, okay, so Morse code, interestingly enough, let me grab something. Do I have one around?
There's a Reddit post about someone that made a fully custom binary keyboard, 1 0 and like an enter key.
All right, so here's a Morse key. This is, you know, your traditional keyer, you know, that you would think. And typically what you do is, you know, you run it with your index and thumb and middle finger. And you can really start hearing people there, but you really do max out at a really low transmission rate of something like, I don't know, 20 words per minute. But there's another type. Give me 1 second and I'll see if I have one of those handy too.
I'm not surprised that you have that on your desk.
Right in reach. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I don't know if I have. Okay, I don't know if I have a paddle. I don't think my paddle keys where I can get to it because that goes. I bet you it's in my backpack. Okay, I have a paddle key too. So a paddle key. So you know, you guys know that, you know, the dot dash, you know, all that stuff. So a paddle key works differently. Instead of there being one contact, like in this traditional key, you've got 2 contacts. And what you're doing is flipping back and forth between your, you know, your thumb and your index finger. And one is the dash, one's the dot. You then run from those switches into a little tiny computer that then does the filtering and the timing for you. So you can really start keying much, much, much faster, and you let the computer smooth everything out. So it's easy for the hearer to hear, if that makes sense. You get a lot more consistency in it.
Okay.
That's neat.
Yeah.
I grabbed the most interesting thing within reach of me.
What do we
In case
got?
you guys need more electronics. It's it's a servo drive from a CNC machine, but it is 25 pounds.
Wow.
It's humongous. It's got all kinds of like good stuff going on here. But it's not quite as vintage as a key. A Morse key.
What's vintage about this, man? I use this.
Mm-hmm.
Just last week, you ordered food. DoorDash.
Domino's do Morse code. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know why, but it ended up at my neighbor's house, and you know, he ended up with Peking duck. I wanted a hamburger. I mean, I don't know what the problem is. Why do you have a servo drive, buddy? What's this for?
It's a paperweight. It's actually a spare. I bought it to repair my machine, but then turned out different cause, didn't need it, but it's been on my shelf up here for quite a while gathering dust. But
Very
yeah,
cool.
it's pretty gnarly. It's classic 1985-ish tech, so it's probably a little tiny chip about a square inch does what this does today.
Can you see any of the circuit traces?
Oh yeah, they're humongous, and they were laid out by, I don't know, they're nice and curvy. So
Yeah, that's
Tape?
what I wanted to see. So if can you show us any of those, or are they hidden?
Oh, they're not hidden.
So back in the day, before we had EDA programs, these electronic design automation programs, you would actually lay out using tape. So you would have different thicknesses of tape that gave you different thicknesses of traces. And
Yeah.
there's no reason that traces have to go in straight lines. The only reason that they do is the very first EDA programs could just run horizontal and vertical. That's all the computers were programmed to do. And it's pretty much stuck since then. But
I really like this. Looks like somebody took a lot of care, and you can see the test points along the edge there. There's probably 25 of them lined up.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like someone put some effort into it. It's pretty neat.
Very neat. I mean, that's the way it used to be done. Clever toilet lever. Yeah, no, that's one of my favorite things. If you get something sufficiently old, and mid 80s is sufficiently old, that we didn't really have decent EDA programs yet. So everything was laid out by hand. So, Jesse, do you have any of those?
No, I mean, I got something older. My power analyzer.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, a whole lot of care went into that, Elliot.
Yeah, makes me happy to look at it.
Yeah. And if you get
taking
too
apart
old,
a Fluke device.
If you get too old, they didn't know how to lay out the traces yet and make the boards. So you'll see things run point to point with wire wrapping.
This is little past that, but
Yep, that
wave soldered.
At my last job, they still did wire wrapping for test fixtures. They would get the like the generic press down clamp things, and they would wire wrap to the pogos. And holy cow, this thing is. Ugh.
That one confuses me because I see some elements that are very, very straight, and some elements that are very curvy.
Did they use templates for part of it?
Maybe.
I mean, they've got all the ICs running whatever, north, south.
I would venture to say that is hand. That's laid out by hand. But yeah, maybe it was hand drawn and transferred with the photolithography. I don't know.
Some real interesting connectors here. These giant holes go through to these blue contraptions. So a big fat pin sticks in there, and there's some kind of spring-loaded arrangement. So this actually was the top board for that big module that I had.
Crazy.
Yeah,
if we ever get up to 500 subscribers, I've got that giant broadcast lens that's waiting to come apart too.
What do you need? 35 more?
Yeah, it's not many. We just need to get a few more. So tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your friends' neighbors, tell your neighbors' friends. But yeah, we're just like 35 away from 500, and then the goal shifts to 1,000. We got to double it. That's when the exciting things start happening. That's when I can start running ads on our channel. So, all right, Jess, what do you got?
3-phase power analyzer. It's very heavy. I got it from a coworker at a job a few times ago. Let's see.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Don't have a purpose for it.
Doesn't need a purpose.
It will eventually need a purpose. It takes up a lot of space. Yeah, I got it from a coworker, and I don't know where he got it from. So yeah, I did it, or I used it in my Keysight video, or I was going to. I think that's what it was. to win the bench things. I was gonna say like, that this is the vintage of my test equipment. I need better stuff.
I think next year, Jesse, you got to get in on that first week when nobody's participating, like I did. So there's a Keysight bench smart bench contest that they had last year. And basically it was, you had to make a 2-minute video that said, why should they send you newer, better test equipment? And I entered the first week when there was hardly anybody entering, or at least nobody entered. I don't know. Let's say there was like 100 contestants or entries, but only like 13 of us actually followed the rules. So the odds that week were just incredible. So I just destroyed the competition. It was great. And I was arrogant and a jerk. It was so much fun. If you haven't seen that video, it's worth a watch. Here, Chester, jump up, buddy.
It was really high production quality, and it was like you were arrogant and a jerk, and that might have been part of the reason they didn't advertise as much as they should have.
But it was funny. Yeah, they should have shared it a little more. So I shared for them. But yeah, I did all sorts of things. Like I put their equipment up on my desk with a bunch of trash, and I'm like, only the best stuff goes here. And then I'm like, here, let me show it to you, and it'd get like a bag of old broken crackers out of the way first. It was fun. And I'm like, yeah, I need a new oscilloscope. And I think because the first video I made was 5 minutes, which was too long, so I had to cut it out. But one of the things that I had to show out, or that I had to cut out, was my Tektronix MDO 3104 scope. It's a $15,000 scope. Send me your $400 scope. I need it. No. So although I won that one too. I didn't pay for that one either. So anyways. So how's everything else going in the course? We're pretty much done. We're letting some people finish up, get Rev 2s going. Anybody notice any needs? I've been a little absent this last week as I've been fighting computer. Oh, it did it again. Oh, that thing. I finally figured out that NVIDIA has a 24/7 chat line that you can chat with people.
So do you blow it up now every time it happens?
I do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Josh, as something that I'm sure you've learned at this point in your career, if people like us need help.
Well, have you tried turning it off and turning it back on again?
Yeah, there's not a lot of places you can turn, unfortunately. You end up turning to friends, and they're far more valuable than support lines. So, okay, here's another question, since we're kind of quiet tonight.
I was just going to say, I don't think I've seen many needs. I think as people are bringing boards up, there's some hardware things that are coming here and there. But we're kind of answering them as they go. I think Andrew's having problems with his red LEDs.
We're starting to get some people to the point where they need firmware.
Yep.
Well, we've got well, we should
say we have some really good software engineers that are in there that hopefully will start taking my code and making it something better.
We do have the code at the Teach Me PCB GitHub, but that's not going to be useful if people have gone off book. Like Andrew incorporated the better LED driver. We don't have anything for that, but he wrote it. So then we have to figure out how to then go back and incorporate that back into the GitHub repository. So I might need to talk to Brian about that.
Especially because it's a fork too. It's not just an improvement. Like it's, if you have this variant, do this. And so.
Yeah. So we've got to figure out, I don't even know how to organize that. Have to I don't know what the best practice is. Do you guys?
Yeah, I feel like we should probably just make one that works on the reference design and then let other people have their separate projects and just link them.
Okay. Yeah, I think mine works on the code up there. I think should work on the reference design.
Yeah, I've got an example I've posted on Walkwe a few times. It would work with the reference design with the exception of it doesn't have the light sensor or the LED driver in it.
But Jesse got the light sensor working, right?
And LED driver.
And LED driver.
Yeah, I just
Okay.
didn't put those on my board. So,
So then I probably need to make sure we get attribution so Jesse gets credit, and then is it a pull request that we then accept or push? I don't GitHub much.
You could do it that way, but it sounds like Jesse mentions, it's more of a fork because if you do a pull request, you're going to bring it into your main design, right?
Right, but
yeah,
Jesse,
his code would be for the main design, so that would be fine.
Oh.
Jesse created the course with me, Josh.
No, I think I missed something. I was following two different conversations.
Oh yeah,
that makes. I thought you were talking about Andrew's library.
Oh no, that was a little different. We've got people in the waiting room that would like to join us. I'm going to need to see some pictures, some video first, Lucas Master 3 and Rimigo, before I let anybody in, because I don't know your screen names. I don't know who you are. So I need to see some images first before we consider it.
I probably need to give you some new GitHub code too that has the light sensor in there. I think I just have them blocked out right now, commented out because I couldn't get them working, but then I did. So I can give you some new stuff, and then we can upload that and then fork it.
Okay.
I think I have a
gotta
version that also does multiple colors for the NSF, blah, 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 blah.
Okay, we're
the
gonna
the garbage lights, I should say.
We're going to take a chance here and see who we're adding to the stream.
I'm hungry as shit, yo. The fuck is this? I got the wrong sandwich.
Okay, that's what I figured. That's what I figured. That's what I get. I like how they.
Hopefully they subscribed at least.
Hopefully they subscribed. They are authenticated with YouTube. I like how they got the video queued right when I brought them on. That was good. So, yeah, that was my suspicion. That was actually our first time. We're getting big if we're getting scammers and hackers and stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, that's pretty cool. Oh, I wonder if when we get our first troll, how big do you have to be for that?
Oh, you're not counting those of us that are already here.
You already let me in.
I think we had some troll comments on Hackaday when you were first promoting.
Oh,
I think every other comment there usually is in some way.
Yeah. All right. So here was my next question for everybody. What would be a fun PCB project for future courses?
First, you got to get your board brought up and get it working.
Hey, Elliot, shut up.
To put the pressure on you, Mark, I didn't have to do any bodges on my Rev 2. Out of the box, everything works.
You know, feeling really attacked right now, guys. Just like, stop it, okay?
If you have to do Rev 3, you can just mark off. You can just make a 3 that looks like a 2. We won't know.
Okay, so here's one of the reasons I haven't, right? Let me show you my problem. So Josh, whoever made these LEDs I cursed them and I cursed the horse they rode in on.
Okay, yep. We had talked about that.
The LEDs, I guarantee are all 180 degrees out of the way. I can't get my iron in there, which means I then need to take off all these big parts.
Switches. Oh boy.
The switches shouldn't be too hard though, right?
No, it's just 2 pins. It's not hard. It's just I'm not looking forward to it.
Yep.
You just get a chisel and just kind of remove everything and then go again.
So yeah, no, I just need to do it. I'm a slacker.
I'm telling you, the only way to go when you assemble these, put code that runs NeoPixels on your Pico,
And
and
do
then
one at a
solder
time,
it
right?
and only the LEDs. Don't bother with any passives. Don't do anything until you get them right.
Yeah, they're. I don't know if Josh explained it why they're 180 degrees, because NeoPixels pin one or
Pin
one is
3.
not the pin that's
Yeah.
marked. The marking is for pin 3.
Oh, that is
And if
interesting
you
to know.
reverse them, the power and ground is reversed.
Power and ground is reversed. Okay.
So, had I ever put power to this board, I would have had essentially short circuits and burned them all out.
Maybe. I've reversed polarity on some of these strips before without killing them.
So yeah, every other IC in the world, every other component marks
Pin one
pin
is
1.
marked. Yeah, yeah.
NeoPixels decided to mark pin 3.
I've never paid attention to which pin they decided to mark. I've only worked with them in a couple projects where the PCB and the component, it was like, just make sure that these two match. And I didn't pay attention to pin numbers. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's actually a much better way to go.
Yeah. Yeah. They made it dummy proof for me.
Yeah, the footprint I made for him, I shaded the corner with a little triangle that looks just like it. Luckily, I picked the right corner when I did it.
I'm feeling very attacked, Elliot. Very attacked.
I wonder, and I bet
It's
if you
time.
heat gunned it, you'd melt your keys.
Say that again, Jess.
If you heat gunned it, you'd probably melt your keys a little bit. enough
Oh
to
yeah.
get
No,
the
I'll
NeoPixel.
just desolder them. I just need to desolder them.
Yeah, they're only 2 pins. You can rock them.
Yeah, I was actually considering just laying out another board. I just don't have enough parts for it. So I have extra LEDs. So if I fry an LED, I'm okay. But I don't have extra light sensors at this point. So
Are those
what else-
hard to get component, or are those okay?
they're still available. I just bought
Memo?
30 of each, which was enough for you and me to have 2, for one for our demo, one for our proto, one for our production board. Gave one away to everybody. It's just I've actually gotten some interest in the project. You know, like Ben Jordan is going to make a board now, a macro keypad. So you know, I sent him some stuff, so he'll lay that out. I sent some to the Fixture Fab guys, Joe Selvik and Duncan Lauder. So I basically I burned through the overage.
Safety stock.
Yeah. So, which is cool. Hi, Andrew McDonald. We got an LOL. That's a name I recognize. And boy, let me tell you, I learned a valuable lesson this evening about clicking pictures of people you don't know on the internet. Who would have known? What I like was, here's the thing though, right? I'm like, I need to see pictures of who you are before I let you on screen. They did that. That was good. So, hey, Elliot, have you given any thought, and Jesse too, about going to Adafruit's live stream on Wednesday?
I want to get a little bit more of my code done so my lights do fun things. So maybe next week.
All right.
I'll do it when Jesse does it.
My boss and I want to send out a survey that finds out where people are, what they like about the course, what they don't, that sort of thing. We were going to do the bring up, but we've got a little bit of a COVID outbreak right now. We lost our other third man in marketing. So she's been really, really, really busy trying to keep up with stuff. But I'll get that out at some point here in the near future. Back to my question before Elliot attacked me. And by the way, Josh, you don't know much about this course, but Elliot's really mean to me.
The high standards.
What would be some good projects? Like
standards.
last year, I think we had a good idea with a poor implementation. That was a badge. Good idea. We could have done better on the implementation, but it was our first course. It's cool. What else would be interesting? What would draw people?
Could we do a wearable and then we provide the mechanical limitations? We say, we design something and like, here's your 3D printed housing we're going to give you when the course is done. You design a board that fits in there. Does it have a little e-ink display? Does it have an LED matrix? You do what you want. Maybe here are some examples, but you lay it out how you want. It has to fit. Here's your outline.
That's interesting.
I like the idea of having like a mechanical design or a constraint
Mhm.
from the start. It's fun to use all of your imagination, but that would be kind of cool. I mean, Altoids tin. Trying to think of what would be a cool thing to have, and I always end up with like, oh, we need some kind of on-air display for your work from home office so that you can scare your kids away from running behind by turning the red light on versus the green one. But most of my ideas are also very simple. So, but I'd love the idea of it being useful.
Useful is good. So if we do the, here's your mechanical constraint. I mean, heck, we found out we can print those up at JLPCB for nothing, right? So that's an option. Josh, what excited you about all the projects that you saw at Pimoroni? What got you excited about the air quality sensor?
I don't know, to be honest. I think I just looked at the number of sensors on it plus the display. It was a way to buy one hat and get multiple different things to play with. I think that's pretty much what drew me to it. It's funny Elliot mentions the Altoids 10. I'm kind of trying to think about that. So I talked the class up today to 2 or 3 of my coworkers that are now interested and want to do it. But one of the other guys was walking through and overheard us and said he's always wanted to build like a little kind of like almost like a keychain game that fits in those Altoid pins. But I liked the fact, from what I've seen with the macro keyboard, that that you guys decided not to do square or rectangle PCBs, and so you're kind of boxed in with an Altoid 10. I don't know how to keep that constraint. I liked that.
So one of the reasons I had that constraint was I figured at some point in life, you're going to have a mechanical enclosure that you're going to have to design a board to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
I was worried that if we, as a first course, if we gave people a mechanical enclosure, that they would not properly tolerance their design and their board wouldn't fit. So that's why I figured we can get the same thing out of just, be non-rectangular, because then they still have to go to a CAD program and import stuff. And then it'll also help me out with marketing because they're going to look cool.
Yeah, it's more interesting to look at.
But for the first course, I think we've got a good project. We just need to do a few refinements. I think we're pretty well. But I want to extend Teach Me PCB to have more courses. And that's where we could do things like, you're going to fit into this 3D printed case. Or the course can be co-design, integrate the mechanical and EDA aspects. We'll solve a problem where you have to do both. I'm okay with that. But Altoid, I mean, it's so... I can't think of the word right now, but it's...
Well, it's the classic electronic
I know a
enclosure.
guy that has a ton of those, if he still has them. So Ben was stockpiling them for a workshop. I don't think the workshop happened because of COVID stuff. So he might still have more Altoid tins than he wants to deal with.
Yeah, and you can get them unbranded ones on eBay and whatnot too for not much.
So for wearables, we got to understand what to do about batteries.
Yep.
And lithium's the cool way to go, but also the bigger hurdle than getting a 9-volt and like slapping it on something.
Yeah. I mean, you'd have to add, like charging circuitry or something.
Which is I think that's a good challenge to do. It just means yeah.
And the chips are like easy to use, so that's not super big deal. And we definitely want to make sure the LiPo we choose is one that has a connector on it, so nobody's soldering LiPos.
It just slightly increases the danger factor.
Yeah. And then we'd want to have like reverse voltage protection and all that. I ended up adding that to my Penny board, so if someone puts a coin cell in backwards, they don't fry the tiny. So
yeah, it would be interesting to have objects that work together. Like if I made a board and it worked, either fit or communicated with or somehow interacted with other boards from folks in the class, it'd be kind of cool to, I don't know, have something come together, like everybody does their own part, but then you can create one project or one something from it, or decorate one Christmas tree with it. I don't know.
That raises a lot of interesting ideas. You've got the is it Hackaday that does their shitty add-on boards at the Hackaday SuperCon. So like everybody shows up with, like Jesse, you'd show up with your little pin badge, right? And they call them SAOs, shitty add-ons. Pardon the language. That's what they call them. I'm not trying.
That's what I was thinking of when you mentioned badges. What did you do for the first class?
So for the first class, we did something, basically the ATmega 328U, which is the Arduino microprocessor. And we had displays that were a little too big. And
okay.
We put on a B&O 055, an inertial measurement unit. Jesse, do you have one handy?
I do not. They're upstairs in my electronics bin.
I think I do. One moment.
Do you have one of mine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sure anyway.
I know you kept some of mine as showpieces.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Except where is the question? I thought they were there.
I mean, I might have Google Photos that I can bring up.
Not right now, I don't. I thought I did. Okay. Things have been in flux. I've been moving stuff around. But yeah, the idea was to make a little badge that you could wear, and it had a display and whatnot. We had a little too much ambition for a first course, and not quite enough memory, but we learned a lot, so it was good.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't mean to sidetrack you. You were talking about the SAOs.
Oh, okay. So back to what Elliot was saying, everybody makes like their own little thing. So one way you could go is like everybody makes their little SAO, right? We're all kind of marching towards the same endpoint, but everybody gets to take a slightly different path to get there. And then Elliot was also saying, maybe we have a grander project that everybody has a little piece of, right?
So cheesy, but I could imagine a Christmas tree ornament that we make an antenna on the PCB and use some kind of wireless protocol. So you can have a standalone item, but if you put them all together, you could make some kind of networked fancy light show for Christmas out of a whole bunch of unique looking boards, but they're all communicating. Maybe that's too ambitious. But I think what's going to be best for the course is the thing that looks the coolest on the internet. So a game controller, the clock from the DeLorean from Back to the Future, all of that kind of stuff. Anything literally from Star Wars.
I kind of like the game controller thing. Microsoft has that like add-on that you can use for accessibility controllers, and then you could have different people taking different parts of it. Like, here's my alternative joystick, here's the main face buttons that I put on this giant board. And then that opens it up to being quite a modular thing that still goes to, a full end goal.
Stuff that can plug in is easy, especially input devices for a computer because they're kind of universal. Everybody's going to have a computer to plug it into. Clocks seem to be like the other super popular project in electronics. Everybody's got a different kind.
I know one guy that likes them.
Andrew says the Whopper from War Games. Yes, please.
Can we do those types of things? Can we do what is fair use? What is going to get the Disney police coming after us?
Just don't copy anything from Disney.
Yeah,
Well,
the
isn't
Disney
that all
police
of
go
Star
after
Wars?
everyone.
Say that again, Josh.
I said the Disney police go after everyone. So just avoid Disney.
Make something.
Well, but isn't that Star Wars? Don't they own Star Wars?
Yeah.
Yep.
Make something that's compatible with Legos.
I don't think they're much friendlier. I mean, I guess they don't get you for being. I don't think you can say Lego compatible. I think you got to use some different words. Brick with dot compatible.
Yes, exactly. I've seen some PCB projects that do that to extend their Mindstorms or whatever the heck they call it nowadays.
But are people going to have Mindstorm? What
No.
about something a little more altruistic? And I'd have to look at this. I haven't seen this Xbox
Yeah,
accessory.
That's what I was talking about. I just found it. It looks like it's all just like kind of stereo jack input for all the things on a controller.
Yeah, so
Actually-
you can use whatever you want that's convenient, depending on what accessibility is needed to trigger those inputs.
Mm-hmm.
Bluetooth would probably be pretty easy as well. If you just get one of those HC05 or one of the modules that's certified and works, or not certified but cheap, and integrate that, you could then hook up to computers, cell phones.
So, there's a few different ways that you can go as far as Bluetooth is concerned. One is with the Nordic, the NRF series, the 50. The other one is the Texas Instruments CC2640 R2F. I need to get another camera going for these things. There's a lot of different ways. And if you use the Bluetooth in network processor mode, you can still hook up your favorite integrated circuit, and you basically just run I can get a better view. Let's see. Where is it? There we go. So this is a module based on the 26.4R1, I think. So this is an old one at this point. But basically it becomes a network processor. You take the data and you send it out as a UART, but then we have to do something with that data on the other side, with whatever is capturing that data at that point.
That's where I think you'd want to use, just like we're doing with these keypads, is like it emulates the normal user interface device profile.
HID.
Yeah, so that you don't have to deal with software on anything other than your device.
So then what's our device? Stick with the Pico?
It could be whatever. The Pico sure is easy. I'm a fan.
The thing we liked about that was, it's got the programmer on board. You don't have to go get a separate programmer, which was a whole fiasco in round one, because the USPS lost them, which, it's not anything we could have done differently there. So, okay.
ESP32s or the A266, like those are also easy, relatively easy.
And they have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi.
And with the Wi-Fi, it'd be pretty easy to make a remote control type device. They can be anything you want at that point, but it has some interactivity.
So,
I don't
okay. No, those are all good ideas. Just keep them coming. Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to pop off soon.
Yeah, we should all end. We're hanging out. And then also, how do we make office hours something that people come to with questions that we answer?
Don't answer them in the Discord and make them wait.
There you go.
That's a great question. Would you like to know the answer? Then join it. No,
We'll hold you hostage.
sign
I
up for
think
my Patreon. You know, like-
Yeah, I think we're a victim of our own success. We answer the questions so quick and efficiently that people don't have to come to office hours. But it also is nice for the people that aren't on our schedule, like our overseas friends.
Yeah, we do have a few of those. All right. Well, in that case, anything else for the good of the cause? If not, we'll end it.
Yeah, we totally could collect up all the questions from the week from Discord and just revisit them in office hours.
That's a good idea for people that might have the same question.
Why didn't we think of that now that the course is over? I mean,
There's
That's
always
free-
next time.
That's free content. We've already done it. Already done the
This is-
work.
this is true. This is true. All right. Well, with that, I would like to thank all of the sponsors that make this possible: Royal Circuit Solutions, Advanced Assembly, DigiKey, Walkwe, the Analog.io, the best newsletter you're not reading, Fixture Fab, and did I miss anybody?
Did you say
I don't-
Osh? I might have been
Osh
thinking
Park.
of it, right?
Yeah, Osh Park. I'd like to thank my co-facilitator, Jesse Robinson, my former student from like 20 years ago, Josh Blanton. It's really great to see you. I'm glad you're
Good to
along
see
for the
you.
ride. And Elliot of Elliot Makes. Maybe one of these days, Elliot will stop being mean to me. I mean, you never know. You never know.
Maybe.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so
Put your
much.
board together. Yep.
I don't know if we'll be back here next Monday or not, but on Fridays, Mark Voids a Warranty. I'll be taking apart a TiVo. I think it's a Series 2. I'm not entirely sure. So come check it out. Could be fun. You might learn something, but if you do, it'll be by accident.
You'll learn about Quam.
All right, everybody. Take care. We'll see you next time. Thanks.
See ya.